Shara Bey was born sometime before the Galactic Civil War and grew up during the reign of the Galactic Empire. During this time she married Kes Dameron. She and her husband saw the flaws with the Empire and decided it was time to do something about it. Before the Battle of Hoth, they joined the Rebel Alliance, and while Shara Bey became a lieutenant in the fleet, flying an A-Wing, Kes Dameron became a sergeant and a ground soldier. 2 years before the Battle of Yavin, they had their son, Poe Dameron, but due to their service to the rebellion, they left him to be raised with Shara Bey's father. 4 years after the Battle of Yavin, the Alliance discovered that the Empire was creating a second Death Star, and this initiated the famous Battle of Endor. Sergeant Kes Dameron, Poe's father, was assigned to be a part of a special forces group known as the Pathfinders, with General Han Solo leading the way. Their mission was to destroy the shield generator protecting the new Death Star so that the Alliance fleet could infiltrate and destroy it. Shara Bey flew with Green Squadron during the attack on the new Death Star. Once the Pathfinders were successful, Bey and Green Squadron provided cover for General Lando Calrissian as he piloted the Millennium Falcon into the Death Star and destroyed the main reactor. The chain reaction of destruction caused Imperial ships to begin to flee the doomed battle station, including one specific Imperial shuttle that Bey decided to follow and destroy. She was contacted by the pilot of the shuttle, none other than Luke Skywalker. Shara Bey, of course, allowed the Jedi Knight to pass, and they both escaped the explosion of the Death Star. After the battle, Dameron and Bey found each other at Bright Tree Village, where everyone was celebrating. They decided to talk about their future and hoped to finally settle down since it looked like the war was coming to an end. The very next morning, Han Solo reassembled the Pathfinders and informed them that they were going to launch an attack. Their target was an outpost on the far side of Endor, where some Imperials were still holding out. Kes Dameron and the rest of the Pathfinders fought their way into the base, where they found some Imperial intelligence regarding the Empire's post-Endor plans. A couple of weeks later, Shara Bey returned to the Alliance fleet, where she was assigned to be the personal pilot of Leia Organa on a mission to the planet of Naboo. Leia hoped to get the support from the planet's government for the establishment of a new republic. During the flight to Naboo, Bey learned that Leia was writing condolence letters to the families of rebels that were killed during the Battle of Endor. Leia explained that she wrote each one personally. Once on the planet, they were able to meet with Queen Sosha Saruna. Leia asked her and the Naboo to join the Alliance in forming the new Republic and restoring the Galactic Senate. For the Queen, it was an easy decision, and Naboo was to join the new Republic. Meanwhile, Dameron fought with the Pathfinders in a raid on the Reach of Tehran, which was the location of an Imperial Security Bureau in the Outer Rim. The Pathfinders were able to capture the commander of the base before he could purge the data from the ISB computer banks. The rebels used C-3PO to hack into the computers, where he discovered that an Imperial operation known as Operation Cinder was underway, including on the Empire's once home world, Naboo. Just as Queen Sosha Saruna agreed to Leia's offer of joining the new Republic, the Empire began to put Operation Cinder into place. The order revolved around attacking and destroying the planet's environment to the point that it was inhospitable, as revenge for the death of Emperor Palpatine. To carry out this order, the Empire launched satellites into the orbit of the planet. These satellites disrupted the environment of Naboo, causing catastrophic storms. Seeing all the fires, flooding, and widespread destruction happening, Bey realized that there had to be satellites causing all of the chaos and that they needed starfighters to destroy these satellites. Although the Emperor demilitarized Naboo, some N-1 starfighters from the Battle of Naboo were hidden in a secret hangar. The only problem was that there were no combat-ready pilots to fly them, so Bey, Organa, and the Queen herself volunteered to fly the mission. Since she had the most combat experience, Bey was placed in charge, at Leia's suggestion, but once in space, the three were confronted by 72 TIE fighters. Bey's fighter was so damaged at one point that she thought she wasn't going to make it, and told Leia that she did not want her to write a condolence letter, so as to not to add to her burdens. As they finished destroying the last satellite, it looked like this was a battle they weren't going to come out alive from. The amount of TIE fighters just overwhelmed them. Suddenly, the TIE fighters were the ones getting overwhelmed as General Calrissian and the Alliance fleet came to aid the three brave pilots after receiving intel from Dameron and the Pathfinders about the Empire's sinister Operation Cinder. 2 months later, Dameron put in his formal request to be relieved from duty with the Alliance, but Bey felt like she had an obligation to continue fighting. Captain Lulo knew that she was dispirited because of the war and not being able to be with her family, so he took it upon himself to submit the request on her behalf. He told her that she deserved to live a life with her family, free of the war. Before she was relieved, she was given one last operation. She was assigned to work with Luke Skywalker on a special mission. He remembered her from their previous encounter when she had almost blasted his ship down, and explained to her that they were going to the planet Vatine, disguised flying an Imperial ship. Bey was to wear an Imperial uniform and pose as Commander Alicia Beck, an agent of the Empire whose clearance codes would help him retrieve something the Empire had stolen. Once they landed, they were greeted by Commandant Huron. Bey posed as Commander Beck, and Luke as her bodyguard were able to convince Huron that they were there for a surprise inspection. Inside the facility, Huron explained that one particular lab, the one Skywalker was looking for, was accessible by only himself and the Emperor, explaining that he never understood the need for such a restriction until Bey's arrival. He admitted that he knew she was not Commander Beck because Beck was missing her left eye. Huron brought them into the lab where they found 2 tree fragments. Huron stormtroopers aimed at the 2 rebels, and he asked why they would want to break into the lab to steal a couple of twigs. Skywalker explained that these were the last 2 remaining fragments of a Force-sensitive tree that had once dwelled in the heart of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, before the Emperor stole them. R2-D2, who had been secretly holding Luke's lightsaber, released the weapon, and the battle began. Skywalker held off the stormtroopers while Bey and R2-D2 got the tree fragments. R2-D2 released the force field holding the trees in place, and Bey caught them before they fell to the ground. The 3 rebels fought their way out of the facility and were able to escape. On the trip back, Luke said that R2 had overheard Bey talking to Lulo and knew that Bey was thinking of leaving the Alliance. Bey said she was tired and she felt guilty for wanting to leave, but that she knew the war was only worth it if those who were a part of it could live the lives that they fought to protect. Skywalker admitted that the only reason he asked the question was because he didn't expect there to be 2 trees, and he wanted the fragment he did keep to find a good home, one with Bey and her family. As part of her compensation package, Bey was given the A-Wing that she flew for Green Squadron. She brought that and the tree fragment to Yavin 4, where she and Kes Dameron made their home in a new colony close to the old rebel base. They planted the Force-sensitive tree next to their house, giving it the good home Luke had hoped for. Bey continued to fly her A-Wing as part of the civilian defense of their colony. Sometimes she took Poe in the cockpit with her and let him sit on her lap and hold the controls, as she kept her hands on his and helped guide him. Poe's earliest memory was when he was 3 years old and Bey brought him into space and let him play with the controls of the A-Wing. Poe was able to do a few barrel rolls around the planet. It was through these adventures with his mother that he realized that he wanted to be a pilot just like her. Poe grew up hearing stories about his parents' time in the war. While Kes was open with him about his war stories, Bey never liked to speak about her time. All she would tell him was that her own actions were not important, and what mattered is that they and other rebels stood up to the Empire and answered the call to help free the galaxy. Shara Bey died 6 years after the Battle of Endor. Leia sent Kes and Poe Dameron a letter in which she recalled their time on Naboo during Operation Cinder. Organa remembered that Bey didn't want her to send a condolence letter, but Organa felt that that was her pride talking and that she deserved one. She promised Kes and Poe that Bey would be remembered. Losing his mother taught Poe that, amidst all the heroic sacrifice in war, there were families who lost loved ones. After joining the Republic, he found the files on his mother's service in the Alliance and discovered she had received numerous commendations. Poe recognized the threat that the First Order represented and also recognized that the Galactic Senate turned a blind eye to this problem. He feared that the war his mother had fought for would be for nothing. This is when he decided to join Leia Organa's resistance, where he became their best starfighter and was given a very special mission: to find Luke Skywalker, who had vanished into exile. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, as it will help me bring more Star Wars related content to you. Thanks for watching everyone, and remember, the Force will be with you, always.